I'm Mark Callahan, Mr. Saltwater Tank, and this is Mr. Saltwater Tank TV. It's been a little over 6 months since I gave you a personal tour of my 90-gallon tank, and today, due to popular request, I'm going to be giving you an update on my tank. I'll show you who got evicted, the new kids on the block, as well as a burst that happened right in my tank. Sound good, buddy? That was nice. A lot's changed in my tank over the past 6 months, and since I'm a gear nut, I'm going to talk about the hardware changes first. Over the winter, I put on 2 Ecotech Marine MP40s. I opted for the MP40s because my tank is largely an SPS tank, so I wanted as much flow as I could get. Now during the day, I run the MP40s in reef crest mode, and at night they switch automatically to tidal swell mode. Now how do they switch automatically? Well, through my WXM module and my Apex controller, of course. No wires are needed here. The Apex talks to the EcoSmarts wirelessly and changes the modes without any input from me. Of course, I put in some disaster planning measures, and I've added a battery backup for the Vortex as well. And now I can sleep a little bit easier at night. And speaking of sleeping easier, I'm happy to report that my green mandarin is fattened up thanks to my Aquamags. The Aquamags have served as great pod farms, and now my mandarin is fat and happy. Now the only change that's happened in my sump is that I'm now running the Tunzi 107305 return pump. I love the small footprint on this pump and the fact that I can vary its speed if need be. The last hardware addition was that after resisting dosing alkalinity for years, I started dosing alk through a dosing pump as my alk was getting dangerously low. It got all the way down to about 3.2. My SPS squirrels were telling me that they are unhappy, and now that my alk is back under control, my SPS growth has really taken off. Here's some before and after pictures to show you what I mean. Now my Pink Digi SPS was going way too fast. It was starting to encroach on my organ tort, and since I like my organ tort better, I removed the Pink Digi from my tank and got a nice frag of Blueberry Ice Acro from Vivid Aquariums. I love this little coral, and it's busy encrusting, so the next place it's going to go is straight up. I recently noticed an outbreak of red bugs in my tank, so I had to treat with Interceptor to knock them out. That means I have a little bit of nuisance algae growth on the back of my tank, but it'll soon pass. Now other corals that got the boot were the GSP that was on a piece of base rock. I would have liked to completely eradicate it from my tank, but my wife thinks it's pretty, so I put a small piece on isolation in the corner of my tank. I also kicked out my chalices as they didn't like the low nutrient levels in my tank. Besides, all those chalices do is just sit there. They don't even have any cool polyps to look at. Now millies are some of my favorite corals, so I added a frag of an insane millie that I picked up from a friend. Its color is finally starting to come back, and it too is busy building an encrusting base for itself. I can't wait to see this coral grow out. Now I told you that I had a burst in my tank, and it wasn't a fish. It was actually my rose bubble tip anemone. It's split in half. I used to have one, and now I have two. Now usually I would take my clone, the anemone that the mother had thrown off, and I would sell it to try to raise money to fuel my coral addiction. But in this case I decided to keep it around because I want this whole bottom area of my tank right here by my zoa garden. I'm hoping that this anemone continues to split, and this whole area is just a nice little bed of rose bubble tips. I've seen some really great tanks that had lots and lots of bubble tips all in one area, and I thought that would be fantastic to have. So, sorry corals, I'm holding on to my money this time around. We're going to keep these bubble tips and hope they keep splitting. Almost forgot, I added a female lyre-tail anthias that I got from one of my reef keeping friends. I got her fairly big, and I got her fat and happy. And I'm happy to say that she's acclimated to my tank very well, and is eating well and continues to look great. Easily one of my new favorite fish. Of all the changes that I could have made in my tank, the big switch that I haven't made is to LED lighting. For now, I'm still sticking with my halides. It's not because I think that LED won't grow corals. I know LED lights will grow corals. I've given presentations on it. But given as much as I have invested in my tank as grown out as my coral colonies are, I'm not willing to make a sudden switch to LEDs just yet. For now, I'm keeping an eye on the market, running some experiments of my own that you all have seen, and being very careful about which LED setup I'm going to go with. Now, no doubt by the end of this year, my tank's going to have LEDs over it, and I expect that I'll have it completely covered in LEDs, no more halides. Now, if you want to know when I make the switch to LEDs, as well as any other major updates in my tank, keep an eye on my website, MrSaltwaterTank.com. And also follow me on Facebook at MrSaltwaterTank.com/Facebook. I'll be posting updates there to keep you all in the know exactly about what's going on with my tank. So thanks for your request for wanting to see an update to my tank. It makes me feel great as a reef keeper when people want to see how's my tank coming along. So I appreciate it. Until next time, I'm Mark Callahan, Mr. Saltwater Tank. This has been Mr. Saltwater Tank TV. Have a good one, enjoy your tanks, and know your tank personality.